So I had a really bizarre experience this morning. Now I gotta try to remember it. So basically I was in, okay, so I was driving to, and this was all part of the scenario. I was with a friend and I was driving to the SHRINE Mosque. And, to take like just a mundane driving course. And so when we got there, I remember as we were driving down the road, so we were basically downtown in this town, but it was, felt really different and everything in the scenario. Didn't feel like 3D or whatever, but felt pretty cool in the scenario. And but yeah, so I remember driving, seeing we're coming like that direction, and I remember seeing some businesses over here, and then SHRINE Mosque was right there. And yeah, and so I was with this like friend. And so then we end up in the SHRINE Mosque, just sitting around. And okay, let's see. So like a bunch of people, I don't know, maybe about 30, 40 people, 50%. No, I'd say more women, maybe 70% women, 30% men. And so we were just sitting around, and I remember thinking, oh wow, I remember thinking, okay, the energy now doesn't feel as evil as it did back when I was in, 3D, so to speak. It didn't feel as evil like back when I went to the circus in 3D as I was sitting there. So then I started having conversations with people about like what we're going to eat for lunch. And it was daytime. It was totally daytime in the scenario. The whole scenario was daytime and sunny. And then somebody brings out like some lettuce, like bags of lettuce, because they were like, well, can you eat some lettuce? Because I told them I couldn't eat a lot of things. And so there was a table. Wait, where did I? Oh, there it is. So there's a SHRINE Mosque or whatever. Okay, and then there was a table. People started putting food out on the table, and then I remember like looking at the bag of lettuce, and I'm trying to remember. I can't remember if, I don't think I ate any. I think I just looked at it as far as I remember. But they're like, yeah, so they were asking me, can you just eat some lettuce? And so there was a bag of lettuce that I was looking at or whatever and observing on the table. Okay, so then okay, hold on. This experience was really weird. Okay, so that went on for a long time, sitting there in the SHRINE Mosque, and me thinking like, wow, the energy feels good now, compared to back in 3D when I went to the circus. God, that was the most evil motherfucking place I ever been to, ever. So it's true what they fucking do in there, man. Totally fucking true. I don't know how much they do shit in there. I thought about like during Halloween or something, going and lurking around there, driving past there on Halloween or something, or Halloween, Easter, Christmas. I don't know. I don't know how it works. But so okay, so then okay, the mascot, their mascot was a red ear slider turtle for many years. Like this thing, it was like a 1-year thing. You went like every year to this driving course, Dilly Bobber. And every year the mascot was a red ear slider turtle. But when they were walking down here and they brought out the, oh, I just fucking remembered something too, the ritual. When they brought out the mascot, it was a toad. Now, it's kind of funny because an experience, the toad, it was about as big as Amanda, my pet toad, but really, like in the scenario, I was like, wow, such a big toad, but it really wasn't that big. It was about as big as Amanda, the toad. Oh, and it was so evil and rogue. So somebody came walking, it was a woman that came walking down here with the toad, and she handed me the toad, and it was like snarling at me and had these like big old teeth and opening up his mouth, and it was like just trying to bite me and stuff. And I remember thinking, well, this ain't no red ear slider, this is a toad. And I eventually started walking out the door with the toad in my hand, but like I say, it's like I was mind controlled to think that it was much bigger than it really was. And oh yeah, and then as I was walking out, it'll be hard to kind of, okay, so this direction, basically right here, the table was set up like over here, and I was walking this direction, facing this direction. The toad was in my hand, and it started snarling at me with big teeth, and it kept trying to bite at me and stuff. And then there was like a little built-in moat or little pond where there were like fish about 4 inches long. And it immediately like, bam, like caught and ate that fish that was in the little pond that was inside the Shrine Mosque. And because it was rogue, and so it just like grabbed it and ate it, this toad. And okay, so then I walked out all the way out the door and then down the sidewalk. And I remember seeing grass and everything, and there's some other thoughts and stuff. Okay, what was that called? Okay, hold on. Fort Leonard Wood. I don't know how I'm gonna remember all this. Okay, so then I walked out down the sidewalk, and there's grass, and so I had the toad in my hands, and as far as I remember, god damn it, I know I'm gonna forget some shit. I should have hurried up and talked about it when I woke up, but as far as I remember, I know I'm forgetting some stuff right here, but during this part, but so as far as I remember, I placed the toad. Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh no, that's right. Not too much went on in this part, but I remember thinking, and I remember seeing like some restaurants and shit over here, small little dives, little restaurant dives, and then which is, you know, kind of like in real life downtown or whatever. There's that little billiards across the street or whatever from the Shrine Mosque or whatever. Okay, so then, because I was like, okay, where am I going to put this toad, this rogue-ass evil toad? So I did place it down in the grass right here to the left as I was walking this direction. Okay, and like I say, there was a friend with me when we drove to the Shrine Mosque. And, but I can't remember if it was the same person that all of a sudden I meet up with, like, in this little building over here. There's this person with like short brown hair. And I remember thinking, I don't know if I want to date that person or not. Because I remember thinking, I thought like they had just broke up with somebody or something like that. And I didn't know if I wanted to date them. It was really weird. So we ended up hanging around, like we ended up like walking around, hanging around. Okay, hold on. There's Fort Leonard Wood. Okay, the shot woman at the end. Woman at the end of the scenario. Okay, then there's that ritual. Okay, the shot woman at the end. Okay, hold on. The Fort Leonard Wood. Okay, the fish. I already talked about. Okay, so anyway, so it's like I started hanging out with this woman, and we started walking around, talking. At this point, we're still like way outside. And I remember at one point, like we were getting kind of lost. Like there's a bunch of kind of woodsy area that we walked through and everything. Before we walked kind of back into the Shrine Mosque. Like we were all hanging out outside, and we started talking. And I remember, oh yeah, this other part came to me. I remember thinking, I didn't know if I wanted to date this person, and I thought to myself, like how could bad things always happen when I'm hanging around this person? And so another part of the scenario, this was kind of funny. Okay, and me and her were hanging around outside, way outside where the woods were and everything. And all of a sudden, I see this weird, like out of this world, round kind of subway looking train/bus system just kind of come out of nowhere, just kind of come out of the air, coming like this direction. Like this out of this world bus system coming down the road, but it was kind of flying, going real fast. And I looked over there to the left as we were walking along, chatting outside where the woods and shit were, but it seemed like it was kind of enclosed, that whole woodsy area. And like a compound type of thing. And so I looked up the bus, this out of this world bus train system that kind of was airborne. Oh yeah, and it was going at speeds of like oh yeah, hold on. That other part came to me. Hold on. Let me think. Oh fuck. Or was that in another scenario? No, I think it was this one. But anyway, okay, so it was kind of light beigeish, goldish, like very light, goldish, beigeish as it came swooping down. And so as I looked up, I was like, I was walking around talking to this person. I was like, wow. And now this person was kind of a charmer and everything, very likable person and everything. But at some point in the scenario, I was like, why does every time I'm hanging out with this person, bad shit happens. So I didn't know if I wanted to really date this person. Okay, so anyway, so as I was looking at the bus, this tram thing, up there or whatever, I was like, wow, okay, that's the new system that they've been talking about that they were gonna, install in the city or whatever. Okay, so then after that, I know here comes the weird part. So after that, okay, hold on. Ritual, Fort Leonard Wood, and then the shot woman at the end. Dead, basically. Gang initiation. Okay, hold on. Okay. So then all of a sudden, I think, I can't remember if she sat down with me or not. I think she did. All of a sudden, we kind of, after I observed that, we sit down in this kind of invisible tram. Tram, is that what you call it? Yeah. Almost like amusement park ride. Like I was sitting here. We were kind of like, all of a sudden, when we sit down in this little tram that was kind of floating. she was sitting here and I was sitting here. And then we start going. Now that other bus system was coming this direction, up in the air, airborne, basically, over like this tall looking mountain thing, except it was just kind of airborne. So then all of a sudden, we're kind of about 3 feet up in the air, and I'm sitting here and she's sitting there in this little invisible tram type of thing. And then all of a sudden we go, oh yeah. But I'm thinking I had another experience too, where I was going at like 5,000 miles an hour, but that was in another experience. But anyway, so then all of a sudden we go, I kid you not, we went as fast as probably, I would say 1,000 miles an hour. And we went that direction, airborne, 1,000 miles an hour. And I was just like, wow, I knew, I was thinking this is so funny. I was like, but it wasn't necessarily true now that I think about it. But in the scenario, I thought it was true or whatever. I said to myself in the scenario, I'm like, wow, like I can't ever not have a scenario where Joel doesn't give me this kind of fun and this fast, and this fast ride. I'm like, he's always giving me these fast rides in these scenarios. I can't ever get a scenario without this detail, this theme in it or whatever. But that's not really true because he don't always do that in every scenario. But in the scenario, that was, the thought process or whatever. That's why he did in all the scenarios. But now that I'm awake, he don't necessarily give me these amusement park rides in all my scenarios. But I kid you not, we were going fucking 1,000 miles an hour. But we were like airborne about 3 feet off the ground. And, okay, so wait, hold on. There was another part that came back to me. Okay, hold on. Shot woman at the end, dead. Okay, hold on. And then when I looked over there at Fort Leonard Wood, the man was holding a big tortoise. Okay, hold on. Tortoise. Okay, hold on. But I thought there was another part. Okay, hold on. Okay. Okay, I already talked about the lettuce, the toad, the fish. And like I say, the energy felt, it felt great. It felt nothing like... Yeah, that's what's really weird because I could, when you're in the other dimension, when I'm in these scenarios, it could still feel really dark, kind of, but yet it still feels good, if that makes sense. In this dimension, if it feels dark, you just want to shit, run, hide, vomit, barf, kill somebody, just get the fuck out of there, kill yourself or something. Because when we started walking up, when we went back behind that Shrine Mosque in 3D, and then we had to like wait a couple minutes and we walked up these stairs, it was just fucking horrid. Okay, and that was 3D. But when I have these experiences and it feels kind of dark and like dark energy, so to speak, it still fucking feels good. Okay, so anyway, so then so this bitch or whatever was, I just didn't know, if she was really my type and blah, 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 blah. And, so anyway, but I'm trying to remember the first bad experience. I think the first bad, well, I already know the second bad experience, but the first bad experience was, unless I'm forgetting it, was the ritual thing. Okay, so we end up, after that amusement park ride, we end up back in the Shrine Mosque, and like Catholic people when they walk up or whatever, and they eat that dumbass wafer, whatever the hell it is, that little fucking cracker, but it ain't fucking gluten-free. I heard they have gluten-free ones now, but it would still be made of rice flour. That's not fucking gluten-free. It would have to be paleo, not gluten-free, for people that can't, because when you're celiac, you can't eat any gluten, and all grains have gluten. So it has to be paleo if they want to get correct. Okay, so these people started walking up and taking. Oh no, but it wasn't. It wasn't crackers this time. In the scenario, it was actually little vials of like holy water. People started walking up. We were back in the Shrine Mosque, and this was the Ritual. Ritual. The Ritual. And so all these people started lining up, started drinking their little vials of holy water, whatever it was. And, oh, you okay, baby? I heard the little kitten. You okay? And I'm like, I'm not going in that line and drinking that because I don't know what it is. So I never did go in the line and drink it, the holy water. And it's funny because we were just talking about, I just had holy water on the brain before this scenario. What else did I have on the brain? Something else I just had on the, oh, and the lettuce, the bag of lettuce I just had on the brain in the scenario. There was a couple other things too, so that's why those were put in the scenario, because they were recent on my brain. The lettuce and the holy water. But yeah, it's kind of funny, but I can't remember if my buddy went through the line or not. But it seemed like mostly women for whatever reason. But I think there was a few guys there too. And yeah, so, but like I say, it was little shots basically of holy water. But I was like, I'm not drinking that because I don't know what it is. Okay, so anyway, that was the ritual that was going on in the Shrine Mosque. Okay, now I don't know if that goes on in real life or whatever. I don't know nothing about that shit. All I know is there's a lot of videos on it. I mean, there's a hierarchy and shit, but I don't quite understand that because Shriners is above Freemasonry, so I don't know if that means, or like I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they're not all doing bad things, but I don't know. But that motherfucking place feels horrid and evil as could be. I mean, even if shit happened, maybe not for 60 years ago or whatever. If they were doing really bad shit in those 3 rings or whatever inside that mosque, all that imprint shit, it stays there forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Especially if it's really bad shit. It doesn't go away. Bad energy imprints do not go away. To a certain degree, you can get rid of energy, but not when it's like an imprint like that. Okay, yeah, okay, so the ritual. Okay, hold on. I don't probably forget some shit. Let me see. But anyway, okay, so another part of the scene, after the ritual, we go outside the Shrine Mosque and we start driving again. We get in a car and start driving this direction. And over here, I look over like to my left, and I was like, oh, I was telling my buddy, I was like, oh, there's Fort Leonard Wood over there. Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Fort Leonard Wood I did have on the brain as well, like recently. And so I was like, look over there, that's Fort Leonard Wood. And I could see it off at a distance, which is kind of funny because Fort Leonard Wood, would be in the other direction or whatever. And then I see this guy, because in these scenarios I have like X-rated vision. So I see this like military dude far off at a distance, very clearly holding this big old tortoise. I mean, this had to be like a 140-pound tortoise, or I don't know, we'll say 200-pound tortoise in his hand. And I was like, didn't you see the tortoise that he was holding? And she was like, no, I didn't see the tortoise. But yeah, he was holding a tortoise, walking along to the left out in the field of the base, going to the left, walking to the left with a big tortoise in his hands. And okay, so that was one part of the scene. The last part of the scene was what was the horrid part. Okay, but before that, let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. Okay, the ritual, holy water, the frog. I'm not frog, toad. But yeah, the toad, it was about, I mean, it looked a little different than a toad. Well, it actually kind of looked maybe half toad, half frog. But like I say, it wasn't much bigger, you know, than a manda. But in the scenario, it's like I was made to believe it was much bigger. Oh man, there's the energy of the experience is starting to come back to me. I'm starting to feel it. These experiences feels awesome, man. It totally feels awesome. But I know there was you know, some other conversations and stuff that I had about the toad, and it was like I said, I was in the scenario for hours and hours and hours. But yeah, basically at the beginning we were just sitting around, getting ready to, you know, do our driver test training or whatever. It was just a class basically, and that happened like, you know, it was either a monthly basis, a yearly basis, you know, and or both. And like I say, the Redder Slider was the main mascot that they always brought, you know, in each time we would go to this driver's course or whatever. No, that was in the scenario because my that was on the brain because my brother's been going to these driver courses he's a convict. So he always has to do all this shit. Go to these driver's courses every day or every other day or whatever. So that was on the brain. So Joel put that in the scenario because of yeah, you know, that was, you know, already on my brain about the driver courses and stuff with my brother and everything. Okay, so I can't believe I actually remembered everything. Except I haven't told you about the end yet. But let me just make sure But yeah, that toad was like just the most evil thing ever. And I was just so shocked because toads normally aren't evil like that. But but it was just so bizarre as I was holding the toad. Okay, so like here's the Shrine Mosque. Shrine. Okay, so they handed me the toad, and I was still in the Shrine Mosque. As I started walking this direction inside the Shrine Mosque, I had the toad in my hand, and all of a sudden, it opened up his mouth and had these like huge teeth. Yeah, and kind of snarling at me. I mean, it was so like vivid. It was so weird. Just these huge, weird teeth. And they were like whitish, maybe not super white, but it was just so weird. And but the whole time I had it in my hands, it was just kind of like trying to bite me and crap. It was so weird. Okay, so before the end of the experience, like I said, I know I'm forgetting some parts with me and that person, some conversations and stuff. But but like I say, before that, the end of the experience, like once or twice, I'm like, how come every time I'm hanging out with this person, bad things always happen? You know what I mean? Okay, so the end of the experience, it's like at that. Oh yeah. This other part came back to me. Whoops. Like I say, I was in this experience for hours and hours and hours and hours. Okay, so I started at one point. I didn't have the toad in my hands at this point. I went up. Oh, because in real life, when I came out of the And like I say, at the beginning of this experience, like I say, the whole time I was sitting there and lurking about, walking around, we mainly were sitting there. And as I got up and walked around and sat back down and everything, the whole time, I just couldn't believe how I was like, wow, the energy feels so much better, so great compared to when it did when I was back in 3D or whatever. Okay, so then at one point I go up the stairs. No, this is under the scenario. I go upstairs and I start observing all of these offices. I walk into this office and almost into the office, but outside the office. I start walking up to this office and that office and this office and that office. And I was like, wow, this place looks like it's 500 years old. And because I already had all that thoughts back in 3D when I was in there. And it's only like 100 years old. And so in the scenario, when I was up the stairs, when I went up the stairs and started observing, there was a lot of people in all the offices. I mean, there was, two to four people in every single office I walked up to upstairs, up on the second or third floor. And at one point I walked up to one office and there was a dog sitting there, this big old large dog sitting there outside of the office, just a couple inches outside of the front entrance to the office. So that was one part of the scenario I forgot about. I can't believe that came back to me. So that was one part of the scenario. And the reason why that was in the scenario was because in 3D, at the front of the Shrine Mosque, at night time or whatever, as I was looking at it after the circus, after I went outside and I started looking up at the Shrine Mosque, I was like, is there office buildings in there or something? Because it looks like there's a bunch of office buildings or something. Now that was that was in 3D when we were at the circus. That was in 3D. And so that's why in the scenario, that's why Joel puts that in the scenario. That that part of the scenario where I went upstairs under the scenario and I started observing and noticed how freaking old everything looked. And it looks more than 100 years old. Like 5,000 years old. And and there was about 50% women, 50% men that was in some of these offices. But the office that I walked up to, there was a man in there, and then there was that big old dog just laying on the floor, a couple inches away from the entrance, and the door was, all the doors were already open and everything. I think I know why Joe put that in here. Put that in there because a couple weeks ago I watched that abandoned video. One of those abandoned video. I can't remember which one it was, but there was like a dead dog in it. And somebody in the comments was like, did anybody notice that dead dog? Oh man, I can't remember what video it was, but I think, that's why he put that dog. But in the scenario, he wasn't dead. He was just chilling or sleeping or whatever. Okay, hold on. I think another part's trying to come back to me. Hold on. Unless it could be from another scenario. Animals or something. Hold on. Yeah, I don't know. That could be from other scenarios trying to seep through. Okay, so okay, I already told you about the Fort Leonard Wood experience. The Fort Leonard Wood scene. Okay, so then, okay, no, this is the most bizarre, disturbing part. And a lot of times I get scenarios where there's not such a gross, disturbing part in it. It's really weird because sometimes in the scenarios, when you see something like disturbing, then it's backwards. It feels more disturbing in the scenario than if you saw it in real life in 3D. I know it's really weird because what I just explained before was asked backwards about the good energy and bad energy or whatever. Okay, so at the end of the experience, it's like we were back in the Shrine Mosque, but we were inside the Shrine Mosque, down towards the exit, which is right here, the exit of the Shrine Mosque. But there appeared to be, we were standing in a little, it was really bright and sunny, or like daylight. And it appeared that it was kind of like a little, there's a bunch of little, it's almost like a little mall area or gift shop area, gift shop area that was just kind of within the Shrine Mosque, a gift shop, little mall gift shop area, and there was some like these were like for whatever reason outsider people like coming in that they weren't part of, you know, wanting to do the driver's course or whatever. And so then she was kind of skinny. She came with her mom and she was standing there. She came in, you know, the entrance. She was inside the Shrine Mosque and me and the other woman were standing there. And she was short, like 5'3" and kind of skinny. And then she was with her older mom. She looked about 35. And she came walking in. Oh, this is disturbing. And but she had already gotten like shot in the face. And basically, I can't remember if somebody else told me or that woman told me. But somebody told me, oh, it was a gang initiation, and she got shot, you know, before she collapsed, basically. So she got shot outside the Shrine Mosque. And then as she came walking in the Shrine Mosque, she was about to collapse and die, but I didn't, you know, that wasn't part of the scenario. But I saw, you know, like blood come out of her mouth. And basically, now that isn't the first time I've had an experience like this. Disturbing, kind of very, very, very similar. So she already was shot outside the Shrine Mosque by a gang. And it was a gang initiation. And so as she came walking in, you know, she was, you know, about 20 seconds from death. And I saw blood come out of her mouth. And now I didn't actually see bullet wound or anything, but I saw blood come out of her mouth. And then that's when, I can't remember if the brown-headed woman said that it was a gang initiation, or if somebody else standing around said that it was a gang initiation. But basically, they came walking in from the streets into the Shrine Mosque because they were just seeing what was for sale in the little mall area or gift shop area or whatever. That was kind of towards that entrance, aka exit or whatever, entrance/exit, part of the Shrine Mosque or whatever, right there or whatever. And then I was thinking, I told her and some other people standing around, I'm like, in broad daylight, you know, a gang initiation. And I was like, that shit goes on here, you know, downtown like this. And you know, because I never really known to be a lot of crime or whatever down there, you know, in real life. So that was my thought process in the scenario. And then one of the women that was standing around, she said, oh yeah, you know, it happens, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, that was like the most disturbing part. But like I say, the other bad part before that, I think, was the ritual thing, unless it was something else that I'm forgetting. Because, you know, as we got to that part, after this part, well, it seemed like it was before that part, but before the shot woman, you know, at least twice, I'm like, how come every time I'm hanging out with this person, you know, bad shit happens? So I said that once before this part, and then after the shot woman part, or, you know, like way before the ending, and then just right after the ending of the experience. But anyway, that was my weird ass experience. And I need to go back and look at that one scenario I talked about, that Shrine Mosque scenario that I had like 3 or 4 years ago, where they were about to do a sacrifice inside the circle. Joel took me inside the Shrine Mosque, which I think I had only been in there twice in real life prior to that experience, like, 30 years ago, 25 years ago, whatever. One time was, I'm pretty sure they had that post office test there in the Shrine Mosque. Was it the post office? Post office exam? Yeah, I mean, I think I'm recollecting it right. I went in there one time because of the post office exam. Okay, so that was, yeah, about 30 years ago or whatever. And then about 4 years later, I went to the circus, and then I hadn't been inside there since, except for, a month ago. And, it was just horrid, horrid, horrid. And like I say, there's some kind of stench in there that, like, they were trying to cover up with big vats of fragrance spray. It wasn't animal stench. It was just some kind of gross stench. From all the bad shit they do in there. But anyway, what was I gonna say about? But okay, but this time when we drove to, in real life, when we drove to the circus, I'm like, where the hell is that trade center? I thought that whatever that trade center was called was just right there, yards away. Like, where the fuck was that? I don't remember seeing that. That trade center where they have all that shit that goes on. They sell shit, cheese and wine festival. I don't remember seeing that. I'm gonna have to drive down there again. But what was I just talking about? Oh yeah. So yeah, I had only been in there twice, and well, altered state of consciousness this time, and then a few years ago when Joel took me there, because I already kind of knew about. I guess I probably did have Shrine Mosque on the brain. I was probably looking at Freemasonry bullshit or something like that back 3 or 4 years ago, and Joel gave me that experience. But yeah, it's so bizarre. Like, the Shriners, and they have this stupid circus, and it's so fucking gross and bizarre and stupid. The circus. I mean, now I know where that. Yeah, you could. When people say, "Oh, it's like a circus," it's just stupid and haywire and fucking stupid. I mean, there's just no rhyme or reason. It's so disorganized, it seems like, and just so stupid. Most stupidest fucking thing ever. Perfect example of what mind control does to you. Because, so, you're mind controlled to think, oh, let's go to the circus. The circus is neat and cool. And then when you become enlightened or whatever, then you're like, that is the stupidest fucking shit ever. Fucking chaotic fucking bullshit. The animals don't do shit. What's the point having a big fucking $500,000 elephant in there? They don't do shit. The horses don't do shit. All they do is go in there, run around a circle. All the elephant does is just stand up a couple inches. I mean, they don't do shit. The camel didn't do shit. It's fucking ignorant. Okay, so, ain't that right, Myron? Yeah, I mean, so now you understand where they get that from. Oh, it was like a circus, or it was like a zoo. Well, a zoo, that's, a zoo isn't all that bad, but circus, when people say, oh, it was like a circus. Yeah. yeah, anyway, it's just so weird. But anyway, thanks for listening. They're my DJ Doom person, still playing, still mixing.